the game as far as where it was at that point in time. And I'll tell you what, I will not be surprised at all if we don't see Glenn Winston getting some reps this week. Mike Pettine's shown the example this week or this season, all season, from week to week, that he corrects. Sometimes I think he overcorrects a bit, but he does that from week to week, and I think you'll see that again here. Terrence West, twice. I know one came back, but they put the ball on the ground, and that second one, to me, that's your game-changing play right there. 7-3, you get the ball back, boom, first play, there you go, fumble to the high, and then nobody tackles the guy, not even tackles him, nobody touches the defender down, and he just strumbles into the end. I was going to combine stroll and stumbles there. He strumbles into the end zone, and that was it. That put you 14-3 right there at that point, and just changed the whole dynamic of the last part of the game. Let's talk about that. Let's pick all that up here as we get rolling. Phones are open. I'm going to them in a minute. 216-539-7535. 216-539-7535. Yeah, Charles, that fumble was Hoyer's fault too. I'm telling you, man. Listen, I'm with it. Like, I got to keep explaining that as much as I do, and I still do, hey, whether it's here or somewhere else, I'm curious to see what's next for Brian Hoyer's career. I like the kid, and I think that he's better than his detractors say he is, and I think that he's not as good as his biggest supporters think he is, but I definitely think that he's a competent NFL quarterback. But regardless of that here, he has not performed well the last few weeks. But my problem comes in when you hear in the last 2 weeks, he threw 5 interceptions. I get that. I understand that. But the NFL to me, and this is what I mean maybe when I use the term overcorrection, the NFL to me is it is a win now. It is a pass-fail, all those cliches that you hear used from week to week, from game to game and all of that. But again, I just, overcorrection is a term that I come back to sometimes too. But as far as simply making decisions in short windows. But that being said, listen, I have to be honest about the coaching staff, and this is where I can't go both ways, where I tell you one thing and then tell you something else, is that my personal belief, and see, there's other people that are anti the coaching staff, and I've had some of those conversations over the weekend too, but I'm like, see, I can't do that, because up until now, I have talked about, I appreciate the way they've gone about and made their decisions, Mike Pettine and his staff, as far as who plays, who sits, who fumbles and then doesn't play the next week, all those different things. And I've said that. I like that. So, that being said, the thought process of why the Browns did what they did at quarterback, I absolutely understand. And I'm all about pulling the goalie, as some people would liken it to. I'm all about bringing in the heater late in the game. I'm all about throwing the changeup. Like, that kind of stuff I get. I want to win football games. I don't want to ride, my buddy's coattails to a happy show every day and say, boy, I love Brian Hoyer. You know what I mean? Like, I'm about winning football games, and I get that part of it. And I'm all with you 110% on Hoyer has not played well the last few weeks. I mean, nobody can hide from that. Whether he can't hide from that. If he does, then he's got internal issues as well, too. And I will say, I've heard some of the beat writers locally talking about how some players have privately said that he seemed to be internalizing a lot of the pressure. And that happens. Hey, those are all part of what goes with being an NFL quarterback as well, too, is that stuff. And you know what? The situation that my man found himself in here probably didn't hurt that at all either here with having – that's what comes, though. Hey, brother, that's what comes with having a first-round draft pick breathing down your neck. You not only have to be okay, you have to be better than that, because at that point people start looking for the first and second and third reason to go, hey, what are we doing here? Let's just go with this guy that we don't know anything about. So, that being said, had to do some things. And I'm with that. But, there we go. I'm going to talk about Josh Gordon here in a minute, too. Although, I'll tell you what, if I'm being real, I expect some of those problems to clean themselves up over the next couple of weeks, but we'll see. Running wrong routes and stuff, and I'm not going to blame everything on Josh Gordon. I will say that three of the 5 interceptions in the last 2 games that Brian Hoyer threw were bad communication deals with Josh Gordon, and 2 of those were ones where he did absolutely nothing to help his quarterback out there. We saw him yesterday run, again, bad routes and all of that, so we'll see. I mean, and now, let's be real. Let's be real. Now, was Josh Gordon just simply still getting back into the flow of the game, or was Josh Gordon not happy perhaps with the other half of the pitcher-catcher battery? Because I've heard some grumblings about that too. The person that he prefers to be the signal caller for the Browns is not necessarily the one who is as of today, although he won't be as of Wednesday. Take that for what you want. All I'm going to say is when you have a rookie quarterback, if you have guys who are not running routes, if you have guys who are not doing the things they're supposed to do, I hope that does not hinder the beginning opportunities here for Johnny Manziel as well. This is not about Brian Hoyer when I go into that part of the conversation, because it's hard enough when you've been in the league for a couple of years and you see guys out there doing things and then compensating or so on and so forth. Good luck when you're looking around and going, man, why are these guys not where they are in practice? And meanwhile, somebody's trying to take your head off at the same time. Oh, and you happen to have that giant bullseye on your chest as well for being so famous that people are also going to go out of their way to get you. And also, we talked about it. I can't wait to talk to Dan Wismar later. We talked about how we thought the and I'm not going to over dramatize this, but they were definitely allowing a wee bit of physical contact worthy officials with Brian Hoyer over the last few weeks of the season. He was taking some shots that would have been flagged from a lot of other guys. I'm curious if that was a Hoyer thing, if that was a Cleveland thing, if that was just a function of things, because that'll be another test too. My man was not quick, as all the memes went out yesterday. My man was not quick to get up in the end zone when he said, oh, you know, and you could almost feel the thought process go like that, you know, as the defense sagged back 15 yards and let that first drive come down the field. And I got to tell you, note to self, I don't care if you got the little money thing or not. When you're losing by 20 plus points like that, not a good look. I don't care if it's your first one or not. But anyways, the Bills said, oh, really? Okay, let's go ahead and see if this happens again. And then they went out there and said, welcome to the NFL, my friends. And yes, absolutely, there were a ton of flags out there as well. A lot of things. Browns shooting themselves in the foot, not playing clean football offensively, no matter who the quarterback is. And that's going to be issues that, in my opinion, will hinder a rookie quarterback more than a veteran quarterback. And that's part of the reason why I say, I don't care about what your thoughts are on which quarterback you like or don't or whatever. If you want the Browns to at least, what's Mike Brandenberry's word? Pretension. If you want them to at least pretend to still be a winning season and still be contending, then I think the veteran quarterback is still the way to go. I do believe that you may have some excitement here. Maybe not as exciting as you think. I'm just saying. There may be, though. Maybe some flashes. Saw a little bit of things here and there, but it may not be, and it may be quite struggling. And all I'm saying is I know how quickly the Cleveland fans turn. And all I can say is 4 weeks of bad football with a rookie quarterback and finishing at 7-9 when you were 7-4 5 weeks before is not the good first impression that you want for your first round future draft pick going forward, Johnny Football. Say what you want. He can be exciting. He can be awesome. He can be all of those things. But if his first month of football here is miserable and the Browns lose out to a bunch of teams fighting for playoff spots and fighting for contention because of rookie mistakes, and the Browns fans have to look at the organization and say, you were 7-4. Now you are 7-9. If that worst case scenario happens, I don't know, there's a lot of fans that they're not going to care what the number on the jersey of the quarterback is. But what do I know? Let's talk about that. Let's pick it up. Let's go to the phones. I've heard from myself a bit. Let's go to you. Caller, give me a kickoff here on the Sports Fix.
J-Rock Daddy.
LG, what's up?
Here we go again, brother. That's all I
Here we
can
go
tell
again,
you. Here we
brother.
go again. You know?
Absolutely.
It's more than just about the quarterback, J-Rock Daddy, because we had absolutely no running game yesterday. They were able to shut that down. I understand that the Buffalo Bills is a great defense.
Real quick, aren't they?
Aren't they?
We saw them yesterday, Larry. Real quick, while you say that, they are a good up front. They're every bit as good as we talked about last week. Man, those guys get after it. I really, I can appreciate that defense, which makes me look forward to the next few years of the Cleveland Browns, because Mike Pettin did have a bit of a hand in on that. So you do hope to project forward and go, man, hopefully he can turn the Browns defense into something like that. And it is beginning to show that.
You got to get the talent.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, J-Rock Daddy, it's almost like the Browns have an off and on switch, and that the coaching staff forgot to turn it back on, because, you know, the last few games, this team looks nothing like the team that beat Pittsburgh, nothing like the team that went down and manhandled the Cincinnati Bengals. It's the tale of two different teams. I know there's some poor quarterback play going on, but there's more than just poor quarterback play taking place. I mean, feed the crow, he got 29 yards yesterday. The offensive line's not doing their job of getting any holes opened up. They're having a difficult time protecting the quarterback, and these people that want to see Mr. Manziel come in the game better take a very close look. There's already people making excuses, by the way, about how Kyle Williams hit Johnny Manziel. I mean, J-Rock, that was as clean as a hit as you could do in the NFL. Hardly hit him at all. And Manziel almost looked like he was ready to be put in a coffin laying in the end zone there.
Those memes were funny, but let me say something. You and I have talked off the air about what you just said, which is, forget the quarterbacks for a minute, guys. You know, let's just look at it as a football team, and you just hit it right on the head. Is this team, we were talking yesterday off the air how amazing it is when you look back at that Cincinnati game or the Pittsburgh game. And Jonathan Knight and I were talking about that the other day. The inconsistency is a good word, but the ability to show up so big for some games and then lay in the weeds for other games, whether it's the old expression playing up for certain teams and then playing down to the level of others. I don't get that. Good teams don't do that. Truly good, championship contenders, not playoff contenders, but championship contenders don't do that. They beat the teams they're supposed to be. And even them, I mean, hey, it is a parity-driven NFL. Even those teams, as we've seen, Seattle, for as much as I believe they'll be there at the end of this whole thing, they've had their struggles as well. I mean, they sit there with the same record as the Browns through the middle point of the season there. But my point being is what you just said, exactly what we've been talking about, the showing up and then not showing up from week to week. That's something that those are growing pains too that come with the transition, as is really what this year, the end of last season, the last season kind of changed with having to change the coaches, but you're in that transition, that ugly period where you go from losing all the time to hopefully coming out on the other side of that a consistent good team. And there's an in-between period where some weeks you show up and you look like world beaters, and some weeks you show up and look like you couldn't beat a high school team.
Well, let's face it, J-Rock, being in sports as you were, even wrestling, but being a professional football player, it's pretty darn hard to keep that intensity level week in and week out. But let's face it, there's 16 games that you're being paid millions of dollars to perform in, man. This is definitely the tale of two different football teams. Anybody with a brain can look in and just observe the way that these guys came out and played against good, let's even go back to the New Orleans Saints game. They were more up-tempo than what we're seeing now. Grant you, Mac went down. They lost some key players on defense. They're having a bit of a struggle, but you got to give a bit more effort than 74 yards of rushing when you have two backs. And granted, West fumbled the football. I doubt we're going to, Pettin kind of painted himself in the corner getting rid of Tate, even though I'm not a big Tate fan. it takes one guy out of the playing rotation, but we guarantee that this coach is pissed off big time about that fumble. He says it's inexcusable.